Hi, this is Mrs. Zhu, and we're working on the homework assignment that is in our textbook. It is on page 291 to 292 in the textbook, problems 9 through 20. We will be doing question 9, 13, and 17 in this video today. Alright, number 9. The problem starts and it says that the scale of a map is 2 centimeters for every 15 kilometers. We want to find the actual distance for each of the map distances. In number 9, it tells us that we have 6 centimeters. Remember that one way in class that we may be able to set up the problem is by using a proportion. So, if I use a proportion, I can set up two ratios that are equal to each other. So the first ratio that I want to write will always be the scale that I begin with. Now when I write that ratio or fraction, I'm going to choose to do centimeters over kilometers. So for both of my proportions and ratios that I write, I want to use centimeters over kilometers. So the first ratio is, I know that there's 2 centimeters for every 15 kilometers. So that's my first fraction. And it comes from the scale that they give to us. So for number 9, and 10, 11, and 12, you're going to use that one ratio for all of your proportions. And the second ratio I want to have also has centimeters and kilometers as well on the opposite side of the equal sign. And they do give me centimeters is 6. But I don't know what the But I don't know what the kilometers is, because that's the actual distance that I'm looking for, and so that's going to be my x. Now in this proportion here, there are two ways that I could choose to solve it. I could solve it by cross multiplication, where I do 2 times x, that gives me 2x. Then I cross multiply the other side, 15 times 6. I can do that right here and write 15 times 6. That's going to give me 90. So then on the other side of 2x, I'm going to write 90. Then I'm going to write an equal sign in between them. Then what I'm going to do to find x is, because 2 times something is equal to 90, then to get x, I would have to take the 2 and divide it with the 90. So x is going to be 90 divided by 2, and the number on the top goes in the box. So 90 goes in the box, and 2 goes outside, giving me 45. So I have 45 kilometers is the distance. Now that's one way to solve the proportion. I do want to apologize for this pen not working and looking so good. So I do apologize for that. It's really my stylus. So bear with us. It's still a video and you can still at least understand it. Another way to do that, because 2/15 is equal to 3 over x, I can simply do a direct proportion here, where 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. So 2 times 3 is equal to 6, which means that if I multiply 2 times 3 to get 6, I can take 15 and multiply that also by 3, and that's going to give me x. So 15 times 3 is going to also give me 45. 15 times 3 is 45. So x is also 45 kilometers. So that's another way to look at it. And it worked nicely that way because there was a direct proportion. You do that same thing for 10, 11, and 12. And the only thing you need to change when you write your proportion is this number that I'm highlighting, because instead of 6 centimeters, you'll have 2.1 centimeters, or 10 millimeters, or 17.4 centimeters for 12. Be very careful when you do number 11, because they're giving you millimeters, but remember our proportion is in centimeters and kilometers. Okay, so just be very careful when you get there. Let's try 13. On number 13, we have the information that they tell us of our scale is a half of an inch is 10 feet. So now I want to find the length of the drawing. So I'm going to show you the method by using a proportion. When I set up my proportion, I'm going to go ahead and use inches over feet. So my fraction that I'm going to create, first I have 1/2. I'm going to use a decimal actually. So I'm going to use 0.5 for every 10 feet. And that's going to be equal to, and what I'm given is I'm given 40 feet. So the 40 feet will go into my denominator because feet is in my denominator. And I'm looking for the inches, the drawing length. And then from here I'm going to cross multiply. When I cross multiply, I'm going to take 10 times x, that's 10x. And then I'm also going to multiply 40 times 0.5, whoopsies, equal. That's going to give me 20 because half of 40 is 20. So 10 times x is 20, so x would definitely be 20 divided by 10, because instead of multiplying 10 with x, I'm going to divide it with a 20, so my x is equal to 2. And that's how many inches is 40 feet. Now another way I could do that is I could simply look at this and say that 10 times 4 is 40, so half times 4, if I have 4 halves, then I should be able to make 2. So think maybe recipes, when you have 4 halves, 2 halves already make 1 whole, so 4 of them is going to make 2. That's another way. Or you could simply multiply 0.5 times 4 and still get 2.0, which is the same as 2. Now we're going to skip to the back side, number 17. Number 17 here, they're not giving us a picture, but they are telling us that there's a slide and it's being projected, so definitely being enlarged. The slide is 35 millimeters. We're going to do millimeters wide, and we're going to do millimeters high. So we got 35 for the width, and it's telling us that it's 21 high. So I'm just going to choose to write my proportions with the ratios as width over height. So the width of the projected image is going to be 85 for the width, and I'm looking for the height, so that's going to be my x. I need to make sure I have an equal sign in between there. So from here, I'm going to do some cross multiplication to find my answer. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 21 times 85 times them. I am going to get 1,785. I'm going to cross multiply my other side, which is my 35 times x. That's going to give me 35x. I want an equal sign in between. To find my missing variable here, I'm then going to do a division of 35 with 1,785. When I divide that, I'm going to put 1,785 in the box and 35 outside. And my x will then be, when I divide, 5 and 1, so 51. And that's going to be a millimeters high, or the height of the image. And it's quite a large image that's being projected. Try 18, 19, 20 by yourself. Do the best that you can in explaining, and even in 19, the open-ended question. Good luck on your homework, and we'll see you tomorrow.